Teenagers of today. Teenagers today are really stressed. Teenagers today are suffering from anxiety. Teenagers today are facing health issues. Teenagers today are victims of cyberbullying. Teenagers today are also committing suicide. At times, they are blamed for being aggressive, at other times, for being insensitive. Many times, parents feel helpless because they are unable to establish that connection between them and their youngsters. Hi, I'm Jyoti Malhotra. I've been working in the field of education as a language trainer since the last 3 decades and majorly have interacted with teenagers. Working with these energetic youngsters, I have lived their sorrows and joys, laughing with them when they're happy, getting affected when they are sad, nurturing, guiding, and solving problems. I have moved ahead in my pedagogic journey. Let's face the truth, teenagers of today are more stressed than teenagers of any other age. Sometimes these stresses are because of small causes, but they become huge because of the lack of understanding of people around them. Sometimes the solution is as simple as saying, "Go on, I'm listening." Talking to my students, sensing and understanding their pain and their anguish at not being able to understood, or rather largely being misunderstood. I gave them an ear, that's all. I just gave them the opportunity to speak and present their own point of view. And every time I heard a youngster, I had a new revelation. Listening to numerous of these youngsters, I finally decided to put it down on paper and present it to my readers so that they can also understand the anguish and sufferings that a teenager goes through in the modern age. And while I've heard these youngsters, I also do not deny the fact that parents of today have become more understanding than they ever were earlier. They are more liberal and flexible in their outlook than the parents of yesteryears. But as we are marching ahead into technological modernization and the lines between virtuality and reality are blending, parenting is becoming more and more challenging. And then there is additional stress if one is a working parent. It is just a tooth fairy tale to assume that just because we are liberal in our outlook, we have been able to bridge the gap between generations. In fact, quite the opposite is the truth. Because while we were moving at our own pace, our children, the modern children, were racing ahead. With the technologically advanced Generation X, even the most modern, well-educated, liberal, and understanding parents are at their wits' ends when it comes to handling their bundles of joy. And despite this leap in time, many of us parents apply age-old parenting techniques that our parents employed with us. The problem is that many of us may not be completely aware the impact that this augmented reality has had on our youngsters. Don't a lot of us wish that there were schools that would teach us parenting, this new harvest of youngsters? All of us parents want to do our best. But even after this self-exhausting exercise of trying to do the best for them, we often fall short of our own expectations. Strifes, disagreements, arguments, altercations, quarrels seem to be ingrained in day-to-day lives. Don't we often hear distressed parents shaking their heads in disdain at the inability to make their youngsters understand their own point of view? The same kind of frustration is felt by the adolescent also. Through this book, I have tried to bring the teenager's point of view to their parents, and I have made an attempt to bridge this gap between generations. I am now going to share some of these personal narratives. First of all is the story of Manish. It's not a First of all are these experiences shared by Manish. This is what he has to say. To my understanding, our unstable hormone levels make us feel anxious at some times and depressed at another. And the modern trends show that this is on the rise. It clouds our mind. It clouds our minds from thinking clearly and leaves us confused about a lot of things. It can sometimes be petty things like what should I wear? What should I eat? Should I eat pizzas or should I eat that chocolatey waffle? But I end up eating parathas. And of course, at this age, the greatest confusion is regarding our future course of action. That choice is so difficult, isn't it? What should my career plan be? And even though I am convinced about some of the fields, I am convinced about my strengths, yet it is scary, really, really scary. At times, I just want to hold my parents' hands and feel that sense of security. Sometimes I just blindly want to follow what they tell me because I trust them completely. Hormonal changes added to the chaos and strain of scheduling, prioritizing, achieving and fulfilling expectations puts us under considerable emotional pressure. This is reflected in mood swings, aggression, depression, anxiety, and sometimes even a complete breakdown. Mental and physical health are connected, aren't they? If one of us isn't healthy physically, it will have an effect on the psychology, and the other way around too. This is the narrative of Sanjana. This is what she says. Our traditional education system mostly doesn't give us a horizon wide enough to let us spring our wings and soar high into the azure sky. Its inflexible nature leaves us with less scope for experimentation. The educators experiment with us. Sometimes they tweak the syllabus here or there. Sometimes they add some activities, sometimes they remove it, and that's about all. The journey on the road does not end. It is true that we are given some types of freedom, and it makes us believe as if we are making our own choices. But these choices are also so rigid, aren't they? We are offered inflexible, predetermined packages. If I love biology, I will have to study physics and chemistry. It is criminal to love biology and psychology. But truthfully speaking, wouldn't that be an excellent combination for learning artificial intelligence? Niharika agreed as she expressed her opinions on the stress of time management. This is what she said. We have become automated midgets. My day starts with the alarm which never succeeds in breaking me out of my slumber. Then it is either mom or dad jolting me out of my sleep. I moan and turn and sleep again till the harsh reality makes me stand upright. Every morning I feel as if I had just slept. But the clock disagrees with me. Stress increases as I hurriedly enter school. It is one study period after another, subject after subject, the lectures and notes given at super fast speed, the practical classes, the lab manuals, a huge number of projects, tests, and then more tests, and even more tests, then examinations, and then more examinations. And it's not just that much. Even if you were trying to concentrate hard amid the overbearing heat, slow moving fans, sweaty classmates, and the dreams of a cool, hot chocolate fudge distracting your mind, you could get a jolt. It can be anything from a pinch in the ribs to a slap on the back or an ankle in your midriff. Taken unawares, if you give out a squeal, the teacher would give you her intimidating look as if you were the culprit of the third order. Sonam spoke about sleep deprivation. This is what she had to say. Some of us feel sleepy. Some of us just feel sleepy whenever we shouldn't. Sometimes it happens in the class, sometimes at the coaching center. It can happen in a supermarket, in a bus, during an auto rickshaw ride, just anywhere. The people around us feel that we are disinterested in what they're saying, but that's not true. We try to listen, we try to pay attention. We are just overworked. That's all. Many of us go to school really very early. For those who live at great distances, the time is even sooner. We get up really very early in the morning, keeping in mind that any one of us hardly sleeps before midnight. We are barely able to catch 4 to 5 to maximum 6 hours of sleep. But then we don't have a choice. After school, it is the coaching, the tuitions, multiple other things, and the only time that we are left for self study is the night. And obviously, we can't sleep without accomplishing our task. If we do so, complaints such as he doesn't work hard enough reach the parents' ears. And of course, all adults are not so empathetic that they will understand us. And then Ranjini started telling us about the eating disorders and how the modern eating patterns are having an impact on the health of youngsters. This is what Ranjini had to share with us. Our generation is an expert in eating out. Is it the easy accessibility to delicious food or the temptilicious endorsements? Maybe it is the aromatic whiff of coffee combined with freshly baked bread rolls topped with melted butter and cheese. These mild and strong flavors lure us with their irresistible fragrances at every nook and corner. Sometimes we just want to hang out with friends to beat the stresses of the day or to celebrate a birthday. It's normally burgers and pizzas, pasta or dim sums. As accompaniments, fries and colas are mandatory partners. Cheesy jalapeno fingers, falafel and hummus just sound irresistible. And instead of stopping us, even the adults have joined our junk food gang now. Colas, popcorns, nachos are an indispensable part of a moving watching experience. It is always a big bucket of caramel and cheese for me. And of course, the onset of the electronic media has impacted the food industry too. Ordering food on e-portals was never so easy and reasonable. The more you order, the more you're rewarded, making a drooling person get deliciously addicted. The moment you log into a food site, you're greeted with such mouth-watering images, luring the viewer to just pick and eat. Their larger than life avatar with resplendent clarity captivate the feeble taste ridden minds. Our taste buds are definitely satisfied, but we have consumed much greater quantities of salt, sugar, starch, and fat than our bodies can happily digest. The result? Poor nutrition in the absence of objects called fruits and vegetables. Just 2 weeks back, I saw a schoolmate being rushed to the infirmary on a wheelchair. When I inquired about his ill health, I was shocked to discover that he was suffering from high blood pressure. He's 17, not 70. In fact, we have become a disease prone generation. Low immunity, frequent cough, cold, and fever are pretty common. But conditions like diabetes, thyroid, heart disease, poor eyesight, asthma, and even arthritis are the ones that I have observed in teens around me. I'm now going to narrate the story of Koyal. She wasn't too good at studies, but a bright and vivacious and chirpy girl. She would make all those around her really happy. Unfortunately, she was a victim of physical violence by her parents. They did not know how to guide her properly. As I was sitting in the school auditorium in the midst of the annual day celebration, there was pandemonium all around as more than 300 children had gathered to rehearse for the dance drama. And in the midst of the noisy confusion, I heard a voice, "Ma'am," and she came and hugged me. "You love to dance, don't you?" I asked her. "Yes, ma'am," she beamed jubilantly. And just like small plants find their way to life, even on infertile, barren roads, this brave little girl had found her respite in whatever little affection she had absorbed from the people around her. She truly depicted the tenacity of life. This tiny plant was sprouting out of the harsh coal tar exterior, exhibiting its indefatigable, undulating spirit for survival. A very simple, stark, ordinary image, but exuding oodles of inspiration for the weary humanity. Some students are naturally gifted. They do well in anything, be it academics or extracurriculars or sports. But unfortunately, some parents are still not satisfied. I was sitting in the staff room just after a long and strenuous parent teacher meeting when I came to know about one such case. A student of my class had scored 100 on 100. His parents approached the teacher and asked for his advice on how the student could improve his performance even better. The teacher was definitely taken aback, wouldn't you be? There are so many such achievement obsessed parents. Nothing, absolutely nothing, and no level of achievement from their child satisfies them. They ban television, they ban any kind of activity, cinema, computer games, no social get together if the child is in the senior class. Isn't it a very dry and difficult sort of life with absolutely nothing to relax your mind? Addressing a gathering of such achievement obsessed parents, I said to them, "Parents, introspect and think whether you are pushing your kids too hard. Are your expectations realistic? Are you spending sufficient time in developing moral values in your children? Are you making them capable enough to handle practical realities of day-to-day lives, just like our parents taught us? Should we not focus on making them good human beings first? I had thought that I had raised relevant points, and it would send the parents into outbursts of guilt, and they might be regretful of their stern attitude towards these youngsters. But I was so wrong. There was no impact of my words on them at all. Rather, they were anguished and severely critical what I had to say. Rather, they were severely critical of my point of view. As a quick response, a parent said, idealistically, it is important for kids to be good people, but realistically, it won't help my son get into an Ivy League. And he started laughing. Another one added, is there any way in which being a good person can be given weightage in a college application? Unfortunately, the percentage of parents who consider building moral values in children has hugely diminished. The focus of parenting has shifted from rearing happy, healthy, morally righteous children to the focus of parenting has shifted from rearing happy, healthy, morally righteous children to bringing up focused, achievement driven, successful ones. They want their young ones to be slick, suave, and street smart, to not hesitate in using devious means, and at the same time, not get caught. From a very young age, they get lessons about the ways of the world. They have no qualms about stepping on others' shoulders and using it as a ladder to success. And of course, scrupulousness and moral righteousness are weaknesses used by emotional fools. Their goal is absolutely clear: success. Whatever is the price for it, they are ready to pay. A friend of one of my students from another school had committed suicide. I came to know because when I entered the classroom, she was crying. She had been found with her wrists slashed inside the washroom of the school. She was the school topper, but couldn't make it to the top in the competitive examination. Perhaps she committed suicide because she stood second and could not take the setback. Her suicide note revealed that she was under tremendous mental pressure and had not been able to sleep since last many months. A life so young and so talented, full of promise and potential, ruthlessly toned down, untimely. I quit was the message chiseled on the wall of the washroom where she was found. She was so successful in her achievements, yet could not accept being a step behind. Somehow, an unconscious script of success got formed in her head since childhood. Whenever there is a change, we find it hard to embrace it. The sense of loss is so severe that some people feel that they have been robbed of everything they have. This girl considered this small shortfall to be a huge failure. This girl considered this small shortfall to be a huge failure. It was as if someone had taken away everything that she used for her survival. Everything seemed unclear, everything seemed unreal, just like a dream that would eventually fade. She expressed She expressed her feelings by writing that she was no longer needed by anyone. She was hurt and assumed that people around her wanted her to be hurt and to be in pain. Her feeling that there was something that had destroyed her and would destroy everything that was hers became so powerful that it led to self destruction. Some people believe that achievement leads to success, which is the only way to secure happiness. But what use is such a mindset that prods children to take extreme steps like suicide, and they certainly cannot be undone. Parents, academic excellence is not the only way of achievement in life. Do not restrict the options of your children to becoming a doctor, engineer, lawyer, or some other just stereotypical profession. Expose them to the expanse of life with plethora of options that include what they consider as lower status careers. These jobs may be more reflective of your children's passions. They can definitely be very successful in them too. The importance of goal setting. Which cartoon film did you watch when you were a child? Asked a student curiously. 40 pairs of inquisitive eyes. 40 pairs of inquisitive eyes rested on my expressionless face as I paused. They wanted to make some random guesses, but they were giving me the time to let my secret out. I radiated a mysterious smile as I recalled the black and white TV of my childhood days. It was a lifeless showpiece for most of the weeks. It was a lifeless showpiece for most of the week. We knew cartoons only through books, magazines, and newspapers, which printed a small clipping as a series. Images of Dennis the Menace, Phantom, and Mandrake instantly flashed upon my mind. In those days, we used to read print books. Things have really changed now for the modern students. There is an entire world of knowledge just beneath tiny fingertips. And I told my students, sometimes when I talk to you, I told my students, sometimes when I talk to you, I feel a sense of content lacking. Why is that so? When there is so much of availability. Learning is not about what is available, students. It is about what we have chewed, digested, and assimilated. Diamonds only occur in nature, but diamonds only occur in nature, but their raw form will fail to impress you. They also require a laborious grinding and polishing to make them shine and coruscate. It is so important for all of you also to identify your interests and research on it. That will always make you excel. Set your targets. Working without an aim is like running on a football ground without knowing where the goalpost is. One could run for an entire lifetime and yet not score a single goal. Many youngsters get lured by the colorful lights dancing on the LED screens. They get enticed by the virtual world spreading its arms to lure them. They forget to pinpoint their goals and set targets, and then They feel aimlessly lost. Haven't you heard many people just get exasperated and always short of time? They try to make excuses for falling short of targets, but the truth is that time is same for everyone. The only difference is that some manage their hours well and some don't. Those who do find time for everything, studies as well as pursuing hobbies and other creative expressions. Each one of you is unique with your special potential hidden inside you. Do some introspection and make a journey within yourselves in order to discover it. And once you do that, set your eyes on the target and keep inching forward with patience and perseverance. And there is no reason why you will not accomplish your goal one day. It impressed my class so much they started clapping, and that made me really happy. This narrative talks about an irreplaceable loss. It was an inter-school football match. The field was set and the spirits were high. Both the teams were pitted against each other, striving for victory. Pressure was building up. He wanted to give it his best. He wanted to make his school win. During the dying moments, he struck the ball with all his might. The ball struck the goal, ringing victory for the school. The stadium resounded with accolades. Contentment filled his heart, and then he collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital, but the one who had struggled so bravely in the field lost his battle with life. In the late hours of Saturday evening, we lost him. He used to sit in the class like any other student. One couldn't have thought about this exceptional and indomitable fervor in him. The passion that he had for the game was greater than his love for anything else. His going away made me realize how each one of the so many students we teach become such an integral part of us. And this cessation has left such a huge vacuum in my heart. How I wish that someone would come and say that he was bunking the class, and I could excuse him and make him sit in the class without any punishment. The entire school was in mourning for the following few days, with handmade portraits of him embellished on every board. He had embarked on a higher pedestal and attained an unparalleled glory. His physical journey might have ended, but his soulful passion was fruitfully realized. I understood his passion even better when I replayed the ASL recording in which his voice said, "Football is my passion. I live and die for it. If given a choice, I would choose football even over academics. It is more precious to me than even my own life." And we only talk about passions. This boy lived his passion. Most human beings have such stereotypical notions about the world around them in general. Specifically, I will refer to their perceptions about how people should look. They have a certain perfect kind of image of a person's physique in mind. Anyone who does not fall into their sphere of what they consider to be normal is laughed at. They're very quick with body shaming epithets like, "You're too fat," "You are a bag of bones," "You are so tall one could mistake you for a light pole." And of course, the fixation for the fair complexion is just considered to be natural. The idealistic thought that thin and fair is beautiful can be torturously overbearing for those who do not fall in this categorization. Physical appearance, isn't it so suffocatingly overrated in the minds of superficial people that often good looks are considered to be proportionate to the worth, the ability, the capability of a human being? It is sadly real that people are reduced to their bodies in social as well as professional spheres. Others do make them feel inferior because they do not fit their standardized parameters of beauty. I hope you enjoyed some of these narratives. I have written plenty more in my book Teenagers Talk. I hope that I am able to entertain you as well as inspire you and show you a newer perspective. Do connect with me, buy this book, write a review, and encourage me so that I can entertain you with more such writings in the future. Thank you.